All right, so this is the part of the show where we get you in on stories that you should know about, even though they don't necessarily make it to your front pages. Today we're honing in on this. More than 228,000 NGOs and NPOs face closure if government does not give the sector the necessary support that it needs. In an open letter to President Cyril Ramaphosa, NGOs said while all other economic sectors have been given a lifeline, the NGO sector's financial needs have been overlooked. Now, it says that the sector is on the brink of collapse, compounded by the coronavirus. It's appealed to government to assist stabilize the sector and help save thousands of South Africans who rely on their services. To speak more on this now, I'm joined by Kelly du Plessis, who's CEO of Rare Diseases South Africa. Kelly joins us via our Skype line. Kelly, thanks so much for joining us. Welcome to the AM Report. So in the opening remarks of this open letter to the President, you start by saying that those we support and those who support us are on the verge of collapse. It's certainly a sobering reminder, isn't it, that the consequences of NGOs going under are really quite dire.
Absolutely. I think the important thing is to remember is that the economic environment is taking strain as well. So it's not, those who would really rely on during this time in the form of SMEs and businesses, in the form of donations, are not actually able to help during this time, which is why engagement with the Department of Social Development and government to develop a sustainability plan for the sector during this time is so critical.
Yeah, and sadly the reality is though that some of the services, if not all, that were provided before the pandemic still need to be provided during this time as well. If anything, the situation might have worsened.
It certainly has. Without a doubt, we are experiencing on the ground a redirecting of funds. We know that lots of donors have made the decision to direct their funds to the Solidarity Fund for a centralized response, which we agree with in theory. What is unclear is how those funds will benefit any NGOs on the ground. And it is also unclear how government plans to provide a sustainable solution for us because there's been no engagement.
Yeah, and that's certainly a cause for concern. The NPO and the NGO sector in many aspects is seen as a vocational one, right? Many people who serve in this capacity feel called to do so, and there's a lot of that kind of sentimental value. I do wonder during this period how the difficulties have affected things like morale for those type of individuals to continue serving in the ways through which they have.
So I think we know that across the sector generally, all those who work in the NPO sector, as you said, it's passion. It is not, we don't do this because it's a great career choice. If anything, to the contrary. And I think at this time, while we are all struggling, you see that we are still out there doing the work that we can, because in your head you're just going, if it's just one more life that we assist, or one more animal that we pull off the streets, or one more woman that gets removed from an abused household, then that will be enough. So the passion still drives us. But the reality of the situation is that we need funds in order to be able to keep our doors open. And at this point in time, we are battling to fundraise conventionally because we cannot hold events. The economy has obviously taken a massive downturn, and as a result of that, coming across funding is really difficult. And then where people have appealed and have gone and dug into their pockets, they generally have directed that to a centralized response in the form of the Solidarity Fund, etc. So it's very, very difficult for NGOs on the ground to actually develop their own solution through this time to get out of this.
Nonetheless, you do provide ways through which government can assist. In fact, there are issues that you call areas of urgent consideration. One of them is passive support. Give us a sense of what you mean by that.
So things like reduced taxes for employees working in the NPO sector. As it is, they get paid below market value. Would it not be easier for government to provide concessions in this regard? By doing that, you would free up much needed funds and allow these employees to earn slightly more. And really, I think that the value that is given to government is little in the form of PAYE payments from NPOs. Obviously, to increase the Section 18 allowance. At the moment, it's capped at 10%. They have made an exception where they've increased it to 20% for the Solidarity Fund currently. Can that not be applied across the board to encourage businesses to really dig deep during this time and support where they can?
Yeah, no, look, the role that NPOs and NGOs play certainly cannot be understated, even without a pandemic in place. Thanks very much for getting us into the picture. Certainly appreciate your time, and one hopes that the President will certainly respond to this open letter in due course. That was Kelly du Plessis, who's CEO of Rare Diseases South Africa.